At Premier Industries, the mark of excellence manifests itself in many ways for many customers. From the complicated details of an Antarctic fuel depot to the organic architecture of Arizona State's Gamage Auditorium in the heart of the Sonoran Desert, more than $1 billion worth of hospitals, churches, restaurants, banks, retail stores, recreation centers, resorts, lodging, sports facilities, timber frames, log cabins, multi-family housing, tract developments, custom luxury estates, housing for governmental use, and organizations such as Habitat for Humanity. Premier panels are the backbone of every conceivable building design and function. We have discovered a better way to build, and we'd like to share it with you.
A much better value than stick frame.
They won't warp, twist.
It's very, very quiet.
The panels do nothing but create sort of a palette on which to paint.
We'll probably knock a month off the construction time.
It's phenomenal. Seeing is believing.
Superior in every way, Premier panels. Back in the 1820s, Isaac and Jared Pratt perfected the mass production of a cut nail. Builders decided on a form of construction that they have labored with ever since. In fact, you are most likely living in a home built to these antiquated standards, 2x stick frame construction. You are undoubtedly aware of the problems with stick frame. Let's hear from an engineer and a builder.
The panel itself is much more structurally stable dimensionally than normal stick frame structures, where the normal 2x's would be shrinking as they dry to an optimum moisture content that they would be finally in the structure. And that would hopefully reduce things like cracks in walls and cracks around windows, callback items for a normal home constructor.
Most homes are built with what they call hem fir, which is a species that doesn't really exist. So the quality of the material is pretty poor. It's poor when it comes onto the job, and as it dries in the house, it gets worse and worse. I mean, I've had jobs where I've got to call back and cut into studs to straighten them out. Places where we had to scribe, I mean, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch variations in the walls where you push cabinets to. And of course, we dealt with none of that here.
But today, you have an opportunity to own a building constructed to 21st century standards. One where superior strength and insulation are together in one system, the Premier Building System. Nick Yachts of Enumclaw, Washington wouldn't have his home built any other way.
Very confident that this was the way to go, and after talking to and seeing the panels at the factory, there was no question in my mind. I think all houses should be built this way, and probably in 15 years they will be.
Since 1968, Premier's nationwide network of plants has led the industry in the manufacturing and distribution of structural insulated panels, or SIPs. What are SIPs? There is no better illustration of the classic equation, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Because you're doing 4 or 5 steps at once rather than going back, laying out, framing, shearing, insulating. We gain it all in one step.
Start with the foam insulation known as expanded polystyrene, or EPS. Premier manufactures its own EPS through its Insulfoam division. Tiny styrene beads are heated with steam to about 40 times their original size. Once the pre-expanded beads are dried, they are sent to the block molder for another round of steam expansion, where the foam takes on its final density in the form of a giant block. This block will be trimmed and slabbed with hot wires to make Premier panel cores. Unlike other foam products, which use a chemical expansion process, our EPS is highly stable. EPS does not degrade or emit harmful gases into the environment. And of course, EPS is recyclable. Respect for the environment is one reason architect Paul Olson of Jones & Jones used Premier panels on Sleeping Lady Resort near Leavenworth, Washington.
The whole point of the project was to do something that was as ecologically and environmentally responsible as we could make it in terms of energy and resource efficiency. And we wanted to insulate the shell as well as we possibly could. We wanted to minimize any kind of thermal bridging that there might be through structural members. And we wanted to reduce the amount of raw material we were using, including wood. So in order to do that, the panels were a really great choice.
Premier also treats the foam to resist wood-boring insects with a naturally occurring mineral that helps prevent infestation from termites and carpenter ants. Next, we laminate 2 sheets of engineered wood, known as oriented strand board, or OSB, to the foam core, producing a structural insulated panel. OSB is the predominant sheeting choice among today's builders. OSB comes from renewable, fast-growing crop forests, not old-growth timber. This environmentally responsible wood product is engineered to rigorous specifications. Premier uses only the highest quality OSB from suppliers such as Weyerhaeuser, Tolco, and others. The pressure lamination and curing process uses a 2-part structural grade adhesive, which gives a panel its ultimate strength, consistency, and proven durability.
They go up straighter, the walls are straighter. Our buildings are typically within 1/16 of an inch of square.
In fact, the walls of a panel home have been engineered to withstand winds in excess of 120 miles an hour and earthquakes of tremendous magnitude. You will find panel roofs at 12,000-foot elevations where snow loads exceed 250 pounds per square foot. You will also find panel housing above the Arctic Circle, where temperatures rarely get above 0 in winter. Oak Ridge National Laboratory has conducted numerous tests which compare the R value, or thermal protection, in various wall assemblies, such as 2x6 stick frame, metal studs, and SIPs. The panels have outperformed every construction criteria. A 6-inch panel wall measured a whopping 58% more energy efficient than the 2x6 stick wall. The Lund family of Olympia, Washington found out firsthand what Premier panel efficiency means.
Middle of the snowy, icy day, the power went out, and it was out till about Saturday night, and 52 hours, and we were both amazed that by the time that it had gone that far, the temperature was only just barely under 60 degrees.
To ensure consistent delivery of the best panel money can buy, Premier has embarked on the most comprehensive destructive tests in the industry. These tests, performed by code-recognized third-party laboratories, cover the main forces exerted on a panel. A transverse or bending load is applied to panels lying horizontal, such as in floor and roof assemblies, while an axial load is applied to the top of a wall assembly. In every test, Premier panels exhibited tremendous strength. Just to give you an idea, let's construct a 1,600 square foot house with 6-inch walls 10 feet high. The walls are connected using splines. These walls have an axial load design of 4,042 pounds per linear foot. With an outside perimeter of approximately 156 linear feet, these Premier walls can support almost 315 tons, or 1.5 747 jetliners. Keep in mind, all of Premier's load design charts have an engineering factor of 3. The actual load tested to 3 times this amount.
Very sturdy. It's the sturdiest building I've ever seen.
We have prepared load design charts covering a wide variety of spans and conditions, which will help you and your design professionals during the design process.
Well, I think I'd say that we appreciate the support that we get from Premier, from initial design right through construction.
Premier has conducted an extensive fire assembly test. 1-hour fire-resistive assemblies are achieved by combinations of underlying structure and protection of that structure by gypsum wallboard. Our foam also contains a flame retardant, which helps keep a fire in check. Tests have determined the relative toxicity of EPS compared to other building materials and common household fibers. The results show that the potential hazard from EPS is well below that of wood, polyester, cotton, wool, and other common materials. What does all this mean to you? Premier delivers what you expect. Premier panels covered with gypsum not only resist fires, in some instances they have helped contain them. Premier panels perform better in earthquakes than stick frame. Several panel structures in both the Kobe, Japan temblor in 1995 and the 1989 Loma Prieta quake in Northern California exhibited no structural impairment, while other structures collapsed. Premier panels cut your energy expenses and provide the most livable, comfortable environment imaginable.
Like I said before, I know a stick frame home you could not heat with a fireplace. There just is no way. And that's just how I feel. I'm a true believer in the panels, you know. I really am.
You notice how tight the house is every time you crack a window.
Premier panels improve all the subwork around them, including drywall, cabinets, and countertops. Premier panels speed your construction schedule and reduce the waste at your job site.
We didn't have enough scraps of 2x6s left over to have a good, decent bonfire when we were through putting the walls up.
Your Premier sales professional won't let you go it alone either. With prior scheduling, at installation time, he'll be right there with nail bags on, ready to assist your crew. Premier Panels, the most trusted, tested, and respected building system on the market.
We were so impressed by his representation, we convinced our neighbors, Steve and Dolores Scott, who are also building, to use Premier panels.
Let's follow your design through the entire Premier process. It begins with your design plans. Premier will prepare a no-obligation cost analysis based on your drawings. The preliminary analysis includes engineering estimates, panel pricing, fabrication expense, and all of your accessories to make the job go right. We provide just about everything you will need to get your project dried in, including house wrap, ridge cap, I-beams, and foam cutters. Premier's full line of engineered wood products also includes Insulam, a nailable roof deck. Ideally suited for the timber frame and log home industry, Insulam is faced with OSB on one side of the foam core. This non-structural panel can be used over metal, plywood, T&G, and gypsum in both wall and roof applications. After weighing the factors and deciding that panels are the obvious choice, you will make a deposit, and the Premier drafting team will begin drawing your order. Once drawn, you will review and revise your shop drawings. Premier prepares new shops to reflect each revision. Generally, once all revisions have been made, you will approve the drawings and we get final engineering calculations. After engineering, we fabricate your project. We begin by cutting in the standard electrical chases. One vertical every 4 feet and 2 horizontal chases conveniently placed for your wall outlets and light switches. Your electrician will appreciate not having to drill studs every 16 inches.
As a general contractor, I was very pleased with the panels. The electrician had no problems. We marked out the pre-made electrical chases in the panels for him. He ran all his Romex prior to top plating. Had no problems. It went very, very smooth.
Next, we laminate your panels together and let them cure under pressure. After curing, it is off to the sip ripper or Viper, where your windows, doors, and gable ends are cut out using our state-of-the-art computer-controlled gantry router. At speeds up to 600 inches per minute, we not only maintain tight tolerances, we can turn around an order very quickly. At this stage, we also recess your panels to receive connecting members, such as splines, lumber, and I-joists. Finally, our quality control team checks the measurements against the shop drawings. Your panels are now ready for either pickup or shipment to your building site. Now, we're going to briefly show you how typical wall, floor, and roof panels are joined together. More detailed instructions relating to your project will be provided by your shop drawings and Premier's construction detail book. During the offload, put all of your Premier panels in one place. Make sure they are covered prior to install. They need to remain dry and flat as possible. Be sure to keep splines, boxes of panel mastic, and big blue screws dry and protected from the elements. Who can install panels? Virtually anyone capable of turning a screw and driving a nail. from weekend warriors to court jesters to professional framers.
This by far is accepted by the framers on site. You can use a crew that have never used the panels before, and they accept it because it's still strictly a cut, nail, and glue situation. They're not into screwing studs together. It's accepted.
Putting up panels requires less skilled labor than typical stick frame construction, saving you both time and money. For the best result, it is very important that your foundation be square and level as possible. Panels can be used with various foundations, including slab-on-grade, poured concrete, precast concrete, and insulated treated wood. For lumber takeoff and plate lap, refer to your shop drawings. Bottom plate has to be 1/2 inch from outside edge of floor perimeter. Apply Premier panel mastic to subfloor. Place bottom plate on top. Nail off with 16 penny nails every 8 inches or per your shop drawings. Begin with the panel that laps to the outside edge of the floor. Measure from the end of the panel to the center of your vertical electrical chase and auger a 1.5 inch hole through the bottom plate. Do this on every panel for easy access at any point along the wall. Remember to keep your working area free of any debris. Apply mastic to both sides of the bottom plate recess. Set and plumb panel, nail as detailed on your layout drawings. Set the adjacent corner panel using the same procedure as above. Be sure to use a fair amount of mastic up and down the corner of the panel. Square the corner and then drive your Premier screws through the outside of the panel into the dimensional plate 2 feet on center down the outside corner, unless noted differently on your shop drawings. Premier's Big Blue screws use state-of-the-art tempering and coating technology to create a screw that drives easily into hardwoods, engineered woods, and soft steel without bending, breaking, or stripping out the head. When seating Big Blues, do not countersink heads, but set bottom of screw flush with OSB. When 2 pieces of dimensional lumber come together, always apply mastic and nail the lumber together prior to placing them into the panel recess. For example, a window opening with a header. The header in this case is Premier's Insulbeam, a 1-step insulated header built to the wall thickness. It is designed to replace dimensional lumber in spans up to 14 feet. First, cut the trimmer and cripple, apply mastic and nail together. Slide into panel recesses. Put in your window filler. Put your next trimmer and cripple in the next full-length panel. Attach to window filler. Before fastening your top plate, locate and mark your vertical electric chases. Auger the top plate, then apply mastic and nail into the top recess. Break joints near mid-panel. Always use Premier panel mastic when connecting wood to wood, wood to foam, and foam to foam. Premier panel mastic has been specially formulated to provide adhesion and caulking in one all-weather product.
We've found that the panels are very cost-effective on shed-type roofs and gable roofs. Provides a very stable roof structure that we can attach things to and expand.
After securing your ridge beam, cut a bevel plate out of dimensional lumber to the same pitch as your roof. Apply mastic and nail with 16 penny nails to the ridge. Prior to lofting panels, put in as much dimensional lumber as possible. The ridge end of your panel and the dimensional lumber must bear at least 1.5 inches on the ridge beam. Very important when placing roof panels. Stagger the placements on both sides of the ridge. First on one side, then the other. This ensures that your ridge stays in place and the walls don't bow out. After your roof is up with all dimensional lumber in place, it is time for your ridge cap. Apply high-yield, low-expanding foam into the bottom and sides of the ridge valley and set the ridge cap. Adhere a strip of OSB to the top of the cap and secure in place with Big Blue screws every 2 feet or galvanized strapping every 4 feet. Now you have a nice tight roof. Now that your shell is dried in, you can begin finishing your home in any manner you wish. Exterior siding can be screwed or nailed directly to the panel. And of course, with no studs to hunt for, the finishing job will go smoothly and quickly.
Well, I would say any Finnish man would love to work in a house like this. The diversity of Premier projects is staggering, as you can see. Premier is proudly affiliated with some of the most respected building authorities and associations in the world. We are listed with major model building codes in the U.S. In Japan, we are listed under Article 38 MOC approval, one of the most difficult code approvals in the world. Our international expertise and port logistics have led to contracts with some of the largest builders in the Pacific Rim. Some of our proudest moments have come when helping families realize their dream of home ownership. In November of 1998, Premier teamed with Bob Vila and CBS to bring the story of Michelle Hayes and her 4 daughters as they became homeowners through Habitat for Humanity. The 2-story, 1,200 square foot home was blitz built in a mere 4 days, a feat made possible through the use of Premier panels for the walls and roof. On Friday morning, the new owner toured her completely finished home, which included carpeting, drapes, and furniture. Whatever you're building and wherever you build it, we stand ready to turn your next project into a 21st century standard. Your showcase for design elegance, construction simplicity, superior strength, energy efficiency, environmental respect, and quintessential comfort. This is the Premier Panel Standard. How will you build today?
For more information on these and other engineered wood products and an office near you, visit our website at www.pbspanel.com.